Hello viewers, in this video I'm going to be showing you how you can integrate MySQL with Python sockets. So for that we'll be building a short project here where the client or the user can input username and password and send it to the server, and then the server can store it in a database using MySQL. So let's start with the project now. So to do the project we should import sockets in both the file because we want networking to happen here to send the data. So now let this be my client file, which is the user.py, and let server.py be the server file. So in the server file I also have to import my SQL.connector so that I can store the values in a database. Now let's in the client file let's input name and passcode. So for that, name equal to input of enter a name, and then passcode equal to input enter password. Yeah. Now what we should do is, this is the front end part. Now let's write a code using socket where you can connect client and the server. So for that you have to, or you can use socket method, and in that socket method I'm going to be giving two arguments here. So one argument is s.if.inet. So this is for establishing a IPv4 connection, and then if I want to connect a TCP connection I will go for s.sock.stream, and if you want a UDP connection you can give dgram_stream. It's your choice, but for now I'll be doing TCP streaming, and then this I'll be assigning it to a variable. Yeah, and then let's connect to the server by using connect method, and then in connect method it accepts only one argument, so I'll give two arguments in a tuple. One thing will be the IP address of the server, and another will be the local the port number, which can be any random number. And see that here you can give any IP address of the server. Actually here the server is in the same device, so I'm giving localhost, but if your server is in a different device you can give its IP address here. And another thing is, see that connect accepts only one argument and you're giving these two things in a tuple. Okay, now connection is done from the client side. So the client side will now approach the server, and the server should accept the client. So for that what we do is we copy from here. These two lines are almost the same, except here instead of connect you write bind, where you bind your IP address and the port number, and this IP address is the IP address of the server itself, so there's no issue with that. Now what we do is in the server side, now let's come to the server side. Let's listen for any incoming clients, and let's say we'll be ready for 5 clients at a time. Okay, this is done. So what we should do is we should keep listening for clients, right? So for that we'll give a while true loop where this infinitely keeps listening for the client approaching to the host. Now what we do is while true accept st.accept. So what accept does is sorry st.accept. So what accept does is it accepts any incoming clients, and then this st.accept returns a tuple, and we'll unpack the tuple here itself. So we'll give two variables equal to st.accept. So this returns a tuple of the IP address and the port. So the IP address will be here and the port number will be here. Okay, fine. Yeah, now let's test whether this works or no. So for testing, let's give some print command here. Print, let's say server started, and then here let's print incoming client. Let's run the server side. So when we run the server script, okay, we get server started. So server file is good. Now let's see whether the client file establishes a connection. Yeah, as you can see, it establishes a connection well. So yeah, everything was good for now. Let's move ahead. Yeah, so now what we do is we send the name and passcode to the server. And how you do that? You do that using a method called send method, and there you should send data in bytes always. So I'm explicitly converting the data to bytes, and in bytes accept two parameters, I mean two arguments, one for the name and another is the encoding standard which you want to encode. So I will be encoding it for UTF-8. Okay, so I have to send two values, one for name and one for passcode. So let me write this code again. Let me write this line of code again, and here instead of name I'll write pass c, the variable name. Okay, now this client side should work fine. Now let's come to the server side. In the server side, what we have to do is we should accept the sent data. So for accepting the data, we take this IP address which is in con, so con dot receive, and then here we write the buffer size. So buffer size is usually 1024, so you can write that itself. And then we had encrypted it in UTF-8 format, right? So we should decode it here using decode method. Now let's copy and paste this again, because we are sending two values here, and then these received values will store it in a variable. Just name and pass c, or you can give anything else, it's your wish. Okay, yeah, so now let's give some print statement like values received. Okay, now let's check whether this works or no. Sorry if you can hear some background noises, just ignore it. Okay, yeah, now let's try sorry let's try giving a name. Now let's see what's the output. Yeah, values received. So value sending and values received is now working fine. Now what we do is so instead of values received, um, you can write values received by, and then um, give a comma here, and then you can give the name so that you can verify it's from whom. Now let's leave it for now. This works fine. And then here also we'll give a print statement like value sent. Okay, now the client part is done. Now let's focus on the server part. So for server part, the receiving is done. Now what is left is the received data should be stored in the database. So for that I already created a database called org. Now let me use the database here. So for that what I do is mydb equal to m.connect. Okay, and then in connect there are many parameters, I mean arguments. Like one is the host, which usually is a local host, and here I'm talking about the MySQL server host. Okay, and then comes the user or the username of the MySQL, so it's a root for me, and then the password of MySQL, it is 1234, which I have kept for now, and then the database which I'll be using is org. I already created the database called org. I'll be storing it in that. Okay, now so this should be again given a cursor, so mydb dot cursor. Fine. Yeah, now to put the data, let me open the MySQL command client. Okay, MySQL command client opened, use org, and now I have already created a table called users. So let me use the table. So disk users. So here as you can see I have three fields: ID, user and pass. So let me use those fields, and for ID let me assign a variable called ID equal to 1. Okay, ID no equal to 1. Fine. Now let me put the values into the database. So for that I'll create a SQL query here, query command, and the command would be insert into users, and the ID name will be ID comma user comma pass, and the values would be, for now I will put all three as percentage comma percentage comma percent yes. Okay, SQL query is done. Now let's execute this query using execute method, and then execute SQL comma. So as you can see I have this %s here. If I want to give the values for %s, the values would be ID no comma name comma pass. See, these are all the basic things which you do in Python. So yeah, that's the thing. And then execute command would execute the given query here, or yeah, this is one way. And then next what I can give for confirmation is print values stored, right? Yeah, let's check if this works. Fine. Run the server file. Server started. and the client file. Okay, username would be okay. Before starting this, let me show you that my data is empty. So select star from what you say users. Yeah, as you can see, I have an empty set now. Now let me give a name, Sumedh, same password, value sent. Check whether the values are received and stored in the server. Value stored. Now I'll check my MySQL command client. Something fishy here. Oh yeah, that's because I had missed a my db.commit. So commit is really important here. For DML commands, you have to give commit in Python, or in SQL you say. Commit is really necessary here. And then I also forgot to give the increment value for ID number, so that for each value I have a unique ID. Okay, now what we do is, for now, yeah, let's check whether this works. Run. Run, and then run the client file. Name would be Sumedh, password would be the same, value sent. Now let's check our MySQL command client. 1 2 3 4. So use the database name is org, and then select star from users. As you can see, the ID is 1, user Sumedh, and passcode sum123, which I had given here clearly. So that's how you integrate MySQL with the Python sockets. And I would like to say that even though this looks a fun project, this is generally not used in higher level, because sockets are generally used for low level programming, for, like, in the sense, low level networking. But this is a fun project to create. So I hope you like this video. Thank you very much for listening this video. Thank you very much.